Welcome to the 7th day of July 2021. Today's Day Weather Podcast is going to be talking about warming up here over the next couple of days. The heat is going to be back up. Temperatures are going to be in the 80s and 90s. There's going to be some areas that will hit triple digits, especially on Thursday. The good news, though, is that we will still have a few thunderstorms in parts of southeast Montana, northeastern Wyoming, and western South Dakota over the next couple of days. And then a cool front arrives Friday and Saturday. That'll bring some showers and thunderstorms, and at least for areas east of the Continental Divide, it's going to cool off. So yeah, it's going to get hot, but it's not going to be a prolonged snap of heat. It's going to be interrupted by this cold front, although by Sunday and into Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday next week, it gets warm and dry again. As we take a look, we do see this warm and dry patch Sunday through Wednesday and Thursday of next week. The monsoonal moisture flow, which came in pretty strong in that last week of June into the first couple of days of July, is easing a little bit. However, we see signs that late next week, that subtropical moisture makes a return and may stick around for a while. So yeah, we don't have a lot of rain in the forecast over the next 5 to 7 days, but hopefully that'll change in the longer term. I want to show you a couple of things here with temperatures so far during the month of July. This is for the first 6 days of the month of July across the lower 48 states and parts of Canada. And of course, you see this monster heat wave that went into the Pacific Northwest and some of the interior areas of the West with all those record temperatures that were set in Washington and Oregon and other parts of the Northwest United States. But look at the contrast. And this is something I have to remind folks continually. This is especially true when you hear things on the news about this heat wave and how extreme it was. And it really was extreme. But you don't hear on the news about the opposite extreme happening in the south central and southeastern United States. Relative to average, it's been pretty darn cool for the first 6 days of July in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, parts of southeastern Colorado, and the southern areas of the United States. And then if you were to take a step back further, if you were to listen to the news, you would think the entire northern hemisphere was ablaze in fire. Well, this is certainly true here, where that big ridge of high pressure has dominated for the first week of July, bringing the extreme heat to British Columbia down into the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. But take a step back and look at the blue and the green on the map. From the North Slope to Alaska, through Greenland, through the northeastern United States right here, and then also across a large swath of the southern areas of the United States and Mexico, well, you have two very large areas where it's been colder than average, contrasted with this really hot area right here. If you were to take the first 6 days of July, average things out, compare it to average, well, the northern hemisphere is only 0.353 degrees Fahrenheit above average for the first week of July. So yes, we had an extreme heat wave here, but it hasn't affected everyone. And in fact, the opposite is occurring in other areas of the northern hemisphere. So you always have to take things with a grain of salt when you hear things on the news about heat waves and everything else. The weather never is even. There are opposites and extremes happening all the time. Taking a look at precipitation for the 6 days of July, pretty interesting. Anywhere you see green or blue for the first 6 days of the month, precipitation's been above average. And we have this little patch right here where we saw that early July and late June monsoon moisture surge come on up to produce showers and thunderstorms. And this has brought some areas over the last 10 days some badly needed precipitation. But you can still see some dry patches right here, as you would expect, where that heat is. As we take a look at smoke conditions, some of you may be noticing some haze. So I always get a lot of questions, well, where is that smoke and haze coming from? Well, we do have some fires burning in Idaho right now, and the upper level winds aloft are directing that haziness and smoke right into Wyoming and southern Montana, headed to northern areas of Colorado. So we don't have any really big active fires right now in this area here, but the Idaho fires causing the little bit of haziness that we have right now. Let's take a look and see how the weather unfolds. We've got a high pressure ridge right now centered over the Great Basin. This nose of desert heat and dryness is what's going to come into the area here over the next couple of days. We have this cool front up here and a little bit of a low. Yes, relief from the heat hitting Washington and Oregon right now, and that's going to come up and down and over that ridge of high pressure. In the meantime, though, these are temperatures relative to average for tomorrow. So you can see this wave of desert heat coming on in. So for today and especially Thursday, it's going to be hot. However, here's that cold front trailing in just like this. That's going to come in overnight Friday into Saturday morning, taking winds aloft and bringing them in from the north-northeast. So along and east of the Continental Divide, cooler air will pour in. Notice, though, we have this big high-pressure ridge and a dome of hot air, dry air here. So the western side of the divide will only cool off slightly. But for the front range of Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado, western South Dakota, western Nebraska, western Kansas, into the panhandles here, this cooler air is going to really be welcomed after a couple of hot days. And there are your temperatures relative to average by noon Saturday. So you're going to go from this to this. So it'll be certainly a noticeable cool down. And we are expecting some showers and thunderstorms. This is the forecasted precipitation through Saturday. Even the Sierras of California have a weak chance. It's not a great chance, but a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms. They'll certainly take it there. Of course, you always worry about fire starters right there when you get those thunderstorms that don't produce much rain. So it's a good news, bad news situation. But notice right here, there's going to be an active area of showers and thunderstorms along this front Friday afternoon and Friday night, especially across parts of Nebraska, parts of South Dakota, parts of northeastern Wyoming here. Over the next 3 days, have a really decent chance of picking up some more rain, which would be great news for them. And along the front range here, there'll be some other chances for showers and storms. And keen observers will note that, along and west of the divide, the amount of thunderstorm coverage is certainly going to be less on the western slope. Not zero, but not the type that produce good amounts of rain. Now, as we step forward, I want to show you where we think we're going to be with thunderstorm chances. After this front comes through Friday and Saturday, the air mass dries out. And what I'm showing you here is where the moisture is across North America. This is by Sunday afternoon into Monday. So notice this brown patch. Pretty dry air covers the northern plains and the northern Rockies. So as we get into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, we have this dry pocket of air here that's just going to sit overhead. The moisture is suppressed further south. Now you see that green and blue in California? It doesn't mean it's going to rain in California. It just means there's extra humidity in the air. You got to take this humidity, the green and blue that you see here, and you have to lift it. You've got to be able to lift it from the heat of the day or over the mountains to produce clouds and eventually precipitation. But as we go further, this is out further all the way into Tuesday, the 20th of July, we start to see the high pressure ridge come out of the Great Basin and more into the plains. The clockwise flow around the high starts to bring that subtropical moisture back in. And you see this right here? This is actually a little bit of a subtropical low that could be funneling in some higher humidity air. So this is going to be late next week, probably next Friday, Saturday, then beyond. We do see a setup that could favor a better flow of that subtropical air into the region, bringing a better chance of thunderstorm activity. Now, it's going to be pretty warm with this ridge, but you're going to get clouds and you're going to get better chances of showers and thunderstorms, and there it is. This is by next Friday. You see all this green in Arizona, New Mexico, through the Four Corners area. This is going to increase showers and thunderstorms again, not unlike what we had in the last days of June and the first few days of July. So for those of you looking for a better consistent rain chance, it's probably a week or so away. Thanks for listening and watching to the Day Weather Podcast. Have yourself a good Wednesday.